explanation, the Lord, whose activity are always spotless, is the master of the six senses, and is fully omnipotent with six opulences. He creates the manifested universes, maintains them and annihilates them without being in the least affected. He is within every living being and is always independent. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The prime difference between the Lord and the living entities is that the Lord is the creator and the living entities are the created. Here he is called the Amoga Lila, which indicates that there is nothing lamentable in his creation. Those who are create disturbance in the creation are themselves disturbed. He is transcendental to all material afflictions because he is full of all six opulences, namely wealth, power, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. And thus he is the master of the senses. He creates these manifested universes in order to reclaim the living beings who within them suffering threefold miseries, maintains them, and in due course annihilates them without being the least affected by such actions. He is connected with this material creation very superficially, as one smells odor without being connected with the odious article. Not godly elements, therefore, can never approach him, despite all endeavors. This is like parts of the pastime, the things that she have to know. Probably don't speak too much about this, but I like it. All these points here being made here. In this creator of Krishna, there is nothing. He said that this lamentable in his creation. We see living entities, they become distressed because something happened so bad. It was a tragedy. Someone gets a heavy disease, death comes. So people become very unhappy. It's only because a poor fund of knowledge that they are lamentable. I remember speaking, my mother, she said, "Are you going to cry when I die?" I said, "Mom, to tell you the truth, I don't really know you, but I know your body." She was, of course, bewildered by that answer, but the point is that there's nothing lamentable about the material bodies. We, in illusion, think that we have some connections to the different bodies. And Prabhu said, similar when a big wave just slaps against similar, all these things just breaking or broken. So therefore, then one jiva go to another universe, and another to another universe, another species. So what happened to the mother? So there's nothing lamentable about this material body because we all, it's illusion from beginning to end. We're not, there's no such thing society and friendship and love. We have no connection to each other at all. We have a connection directly to the spiritual master and Krishna. We're jivas, and we're owned by Krishna, and to be enjoyed by Krishna. So once we reach that, give up this contamination, feeling of enviousness of affection with each other, living each other, is a state of madness. So there's no lamentable in the heart. You should never have lament what's going on, because in this material world, anything is possible here. So we have our activities. We get engaged in so many activities, and we're always trying to make the material world nice. It's not going to become nice. Maya will sit there, will screw everything you make. That's what she does. So the intelligent man, they use every ounce of his energy how to please the spiritual master and please Krishna by returning to the platform of love. First, you have to love the spiritual master, and that's alone. Just like, and I don't know this devotee was. I just remember this devotee said, "Srila Prabhupada, I'm your dog. Srila, I'm your dog." Who was that devotee said that? I can't remember. I can see his face, but I'm your dog. Srila Prabhupada. It takes many years to become the dog of the spiritual master. This is not an ordinary platform. We are very proud. It takes a long time to become a servant of the spiritual master. And we finally fixed in that platform, then we can understand Krishna. I realize now, I don't know who Krishna is. I know who Srila Prabhupada was. So if I'm very fortunate, I know the pure devotee. And Shakshadari to us about said we chant this verse in the morning. Simply by remembering the servant, the great servant of the Lord, we make advancement, and we can understand who is Krishna. And that is the motive. That's the object of worship. So this point about being lamentable is a madness mentality. There's nothing to lament. I know when a little boy, I had my puppy, my dog got killed. I lamented. But after that, I've seen many dogs get killed, and I realized I'm numb to that stuff now. If someone gets killed, I'm indifferent, because it's only a shell that's being destroyed. The living entity has gone somewhere else. So they said that there's nothing lamentable in this creation. And anyone who's disturbed by what's going on in this material world, they themselves are disturbed. So if you think about somebody else being destroyed, you're the one who is disturbed. He is transcendental to all material afflictions. All. How many different afflictions there are? So many different afflictions. But he's transcendental to all the afflictions. And he's full. He's full of everything. You know, I may think that I'm very strong, but I can never say I'm the most strongest. And everyone thinks that he's very attractive. But you can never be the most attractive. Srila Prabhupada said we're not the most of anything. So we're very fortunate to have a guide, a leader who is as perfect. Srila Prabhupada showed that he was perfect. So in this simple and short purport, Prabhupada said that we're suffering because we are forgetting our position, that is servant. And we're working all the years just to come to the platform, just to be a servant. I mean, sometimes we do some service, and then we want to be the master. Now when some pressure comes up, we become a servant again, And then after we get past that, now I'm the master again. So we're always fighting with this position of being a servant and then elevating ourselves in the mind of the master. As I always say, that he's a legend in his own mind. Because he thinks, now I'm a servant, but I'm elevated now. I'm a super bad now. I'm a super authority. But it takes a long time to come to the platform to be a humble servant. I mean, a genuine, humble servant. But we're always in the mind trying to elevate ourselves to, Prabhu said, there are only two contaminations. I remember they said, there are only two contaminations for the jiva. He said the jiva is thinking that he wants to lord it over all the other jivas, guide the other jivas, the lord of all the other jivas. And then the other one is that he wants to be God. Those are two in contamination. And he feels that somehow I'm the best jiva and I should be in charge of all the other jivas and I can help the other jivas, etc., etc., etc. But really, we are in an illusion if we think that we have some relationship with the other jivas. So the point is nullified that we can never become God and we can never control other jivas. So it said here, the last point here, that all the determinations that we understand that were contaminated, but Krishna is not he's not even slightly affected with the contamination of in this material world. We have, even though he's there, Achincha, Beta, Tapa, he's there, but he's not there. He sees all the suffering, but he's not affected by it. He's so aloof. When I see somebody, when in the Boston Marathon, they had that explosion, and the explosion blew off limbs of people around it. And everybody said, oh my God, this is so bad. This is a tragedy. It's a tragedy only in the unknowledgeable soul. Because he thinks the body and the soul, and that was not supposed to have. That was not supposed to happen. They're thinking that. It was a mistake that happened now. Nothing is a mistake. He's simply getting paid back for this stuff. Rascal, he did activities that he did in the previous life. So, but Krishna is not affected by this guy crying, oh, I love my arm. My arm is gone. And Krishna's not affected by that crying. And he's not affected by the suffering of this material world. So we're very fortunate to have this knowledge so we can keep a level head amongst these problems and difficulties in the material world. Because there's so many problems in this jailhouse of the material world. And if you become affected trying to being a part of all the problems of the material world, you simply become a madman again. That we're trying to connect to everything in this temporary world. We have no connection to the jivas. We have nothing to this material world. It's all illusion. We simply try to get out by pleasing the spiritual master. If we can simply get out, we can see how much of a fool that we really were. But as long as we're in this illusion, we think I'm connected to society and friendship and love, and our lives is spoiled. So Srila Prabhupada, he was always telling us, I'm simply trying to please my spiritual master. That always it would affect me very deeply. He would say, I'm working, but I'm simply trying to please my spiritual master. So now to the point where I'm always thinking, how can I please Srila Prabhupada? And by first, let me become a pure devotee. Let me try to, let me dedicate my time, just purification. Let me dedicate my life to just be purifying myself. So, because a purified person can do a lot of service. A contaminated soul who just screws up the material world, he becomes a toy in the hand of Maya in this material world. But we want to become purified. Let's become a cleansed and purified devotee so we can help other. A man who's drowning can't help nobody else. So if I become purified, then I can help somebody. But if I'm contaminated, that means I can't help anybody. So the first thing is cleaning my heart. Become a pure devotee. And do some service for God before I leave this body. So anyway, that's like a short purport. So I'm not going to try to go too much on. But the points in there were very clear there. Right? Anybody have some other, because Prabhu said that we should hear this philosophy from different angles. So I'm just presenting one angle. So what is your angles that you want to share?
So you said we're not connected to the jivas on the bodily platform. But on the spiritual platform, aren't we connected with everyone because Krishna's the Supreme Father and we're all his children. So since we have the same Father, we have a relationship with all jivas, correct? On the spiritual platform. You also said that Krishna is not lamenting. Krishna says the wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. But at the same time, not for the bodies, but simultaneously, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in anxiety about the suffering of the conditioned souls, right?
When Sri Prabhupada left his body, we were missing his association because we know that we'll have a relationship with him later. But we were chanting, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, and that was a more covered, also joyful. That we can, to send him home. So it was not lamented on the material platform, it was spiritual.
Seems like so much of this philosophy, you keep saying it, Tattva. So much of this philosophy, it is and it isn't. Krishna's present, he's not present.
You have to become purified to understand certain things. And reach that platform where you simply can't understand. You have to realize you have to concentrate yourself on becoming purified. Because on a contaminated mind, can't understand anything. So it's not so difficult to understand. And just like Krishna says, it says simultaneously and different. Just accept that. Because you care with the material plane, you can understand that. Right. You have to reach that platform. Purify yourself and just accept what Krishna is saying. With a material mind, you can't understand spiritual things. So become spiritual. Cleanse. Anybody else? Angle of vision.
We don't see death enough in this country. My mother passed away last month. It was very interesting. I think the last time I'd been to a funeral prior to that was my father's funeral 30 years ago. And So it was interesting to see the dead body lying there.
Yeah.
Especially not just any body, that person who gave birth to me, gave birth to this body, lying there, stiff, lifeless.
Lifeless.
The life is gone. And so it's, of course, it's a reminder. It's so easy for us to forget that one day too we will leave. So easy to forget. So
yeah, the soul is gone. So if you think he's the body, then he's still right there. If you still that person is the body, then the body's right there. But you know, when a person's left, then you have no more attraction or problems. You left that body, so. But on a spiritual man platform, we'll meet him again. But in the jivas in the material world, when they break, you don't know where they're going. Some universe and some planet in the solar system. You don't know where they're going. Right? Yeah, bye. That's it.
Going on a picnic.
Yeah.
There's one near-death experience book that's in the bestseller list. No, can't remember the name of it. My sister had the book at her house. I was reading parts of that. And the fellow who wrote it was a neurosurgeon. And of course, being a neurosurgeon, he didn't believe in the soul, life after death. So he had some meningitis of some kind that attacked the part of the brain from which those neurosurgeons think that consciousness comes. And so he left the body. He was in a coma for 7 days, and in those 7 days he was in the astral or mental plane. And he described his situation there as being the worm's eye view of the universe. In other words, he was surrounded by darkness.
Mm.
He had no idea or understanding of anything after the body.
Mm.
He was living in darkness, and so after he left the body, he was in darkness.
Mm.
And anyway, by some grace, he happened to be able to experience other things there, but he kept coming back. He was going back and forth from the dense darkness to, he described going to the gates of heaven, but they wouldn't let him in. He was a moral atheist. So he's a moral person, but he was atheist, so because he didn't actually have any understanding of God, where could he go after the time of death? Where can you go? Anyway, it's interesting to read those cases, those case studies. Different people have many different experiences with that. But you achieve what you actually come to understand in this life. The mental world, immediately, what you think of, that's what you get. There's a lot of YouTube videos about this, about people who have near-death experiences, and particularly, I was looking last year at ones of people who die and go to hell. So there's a number of them, and very convincing that they actually experienced the lake of fire and so on like that. Now there's one Purana. Maybe some of you know one Purana where Yamaraj is saying, there's no fire here. Whoever comes here, they bring their own fire. So I was trying to understand that. And my conclusion was that they create it because they go to, it's the astral plane, it's the mental plane that we go to. So their consciousness is such that they're creating that suffering, that lake of fire, as a result of their consciousness. And that's why it seems to be eternal, because they don't know how, they don't have any idea how to change their consciousness. And so that their consciousness continually manifests in that way until they finally, I guess, get purified. And one other anecdote about that. There was a Russian devotee. Tells the story that prior to his becoming a devotee, he was not a very nice guy, kind of a mafioso type, did a lot of sinful activities. So he was one time in the hospital for something, and he saw the Yamadutas coming for him. And he freaked out, and to get away from them, he jumped out the window of the hospital. But he was on the 8th floor. Oops. Anyway, they got him. The hospital people came and scraped up his body, put it back in intensive care, and he was in a coma for some time. So the Yamadutas got him, they dragged him through hell in various places, and they brought him before Yamaraj. And so the guy, he was trying to plead his case with Yamaraj. Please, the Yamaduta said, oh, here, we've introduced him to hell now. Tell us, where we should take him. So the guy was pleading his case with Yamaraj. Let me go, please, let me go, I'll become a monk. So Yamaraj showed him a picture of a Christian monk. He says, a monk like this? No. And then Yamaraj showed him a picture of a Hare Krishna devotee. A monk like this? Yeah, I'll become one of them. Yamaraj said, okay, go back. So he goes on book distribution with the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam, showing people, see this? This is real. Please take this book, find out about this. You don't want to go there.
That's, wow. I had that happened in L.A. I guess the Yamaduta was taking him out. He was running down the hallway, the hospital, screaming, no, leave me alone. And then he just stopped him. And he got him. People said, they touched him, hey, he's dead. So, yeah, I've seen that happen many times.
You saw?
That happened in L.A. back when I first joined him.
Yeah?
Yeah. People are always trying to outrun the Yamadutas. They said, the policeman said, this young boy, I don't know why they were driving so fast. They're trying to outrun the Yamadutas. And bam, they hit a tree and that's it. They're running, only meet death.
As far as a devotee goes, if people aren't acting on a real spiritual platform, which means devotional service, Srila Prabhupada, Shastra says they're already dead, they're the walking dead.
Already dead, yeah.
And you don't go, if you look out the window, you see a bunch of walking dead walking around. You don't go out there and say, hey buddy, how you doing? Where are we going now? You just get away from those people.
They look like that too.
Associate with people that are alive and spiritually connected.
In Europe, on vacation to go to the subways, and you always see these people, and they really do look lifeless. They're just unhappy. They're going through their routine, but they're not.
In the subway?
Yeah, because you see a lot of people there.
Yeah. That's New York is saying
it. And they're just like zombies.
Yeah.
Walking dead.
They're sitting there like statues, on the train, and the looks on their face are just death.
Lokamangala used to dress up like Santa.
Yeah.
On Christmas, so many devotees in New York, and all the lifeless, walking dead folks are sitting there, with no higher aim of life or neediness. Right. So out of their compassion, like we read this morning, Prabhupada says the devotees really feel for these poor people. They don't know Krishna. So says something and wake them up and try to get them back to God. They have a magazine.
Yeah.
Do something. Most of them are gone.
Yeah, all right.
They're gone. But if you give them, they give something to Christian takes that into account. They begin their devotional service.
Already gone.
I was on book distribution the other day, and I met this really nice lady, and I gave her a book, and I just explained to her, I said, if you give charity to the right person, you get it back unlimitedly. She goes, yeah, I give charity, I always give charity to, the homeless, but they just use it for liquor, so I said,
Yeah, that's the mode of ignorance.
yeah.
Charity.
So I said, you have to give it to the right person, and she said, are you the right person? I said, I'm going to give it to the right person. So she said, thank you very much.
You had a question?
What's a Yamaduta? Is it like a Yamaduta? What is that? Is that like a demon?
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna do this. You want to explain?
We showed a picture.
They're the lords of death.
Picture?
They're the
I
agents.
just get scared with
The
that.
Lord of Death is Yamaraj, and they're his agents, and they're very ferocious looking, very scary. You see them, and people see them, and they freak out. They haven't seen anybody so horrible looking.
Is it like the Grim Reaper? People talk about.
That's exactly who they
Very
are.
close.
Okay. Okay.
They say a lot of people, when they're dying, they pass stool and urine simultaneously. If you ask any nurse in a hospital, does this happen? Oh yeah, everybody. And it says in the Bhagavatam, they see the Amadutas and
They freak out.
They lose it.
They have.
They're taking them to hell, to the harsh planets.
There's one, Mataji, she wrote a story about her father's passing away and how he was restless all the time. He was tossing around, and she couldn't understand why is he like that. And she asked the nurse, what's the problem with him? And the nurse said, she said, that's all right, honey, it happens to everybody. It's called terminal restlessness.
Terminal restlessness. Yeah.
And,
That's the Indian name. Terminal restlessness.
then later she found out, she said, I think it's the Amadutas harassing him. Because he would lay there and would say, leave me alone, leave me alone. Yeah. She's got me, she would hold him in her arms and he would say, enchant to him and he would say, she's got me, leave me alone,
Sixth canto, they say.